Okay, so we are right back into another match. This one is going to be Android 17 versus Jiren. I am Brian. I am joined by George once again. We're going to go ahead and start it out. It'll be a very fiery match as we have our players do our mulligans.
Yeah, so here, a very interesting matchup. Jiren having some very powerful cards, especially in the form of 4-cost SR Jiren. That's going to be able to provide the deck means to be able to circumvent a lot of the Android's destruction and keep on drawing cards. Thankfully, droids do have the benefit of being able to go wide, but Jiren being a 25 awakened leader can prevent a little bit of trickiness on that front. So there is some maneuverability there that both players are going to have to do. Obviously, Jiren has to respect the late game from the green player, especially since you can get around the 4-cost Jiren's destruction by being able to chain things like a drop Broly into Big Bang Attack, which we have been seeing our Android players tech into the matchups for this tournament. So it'll be a balance here about how much we respect one another, but who will really effectively be able to maintain the more powerful of boards. So if droids can see their bombs, they're back-to-back 7 drops and 8 drops, they're in a great position. Whereas if Jiren's able to stabilize an early board and then be able to press into 2 or 3 Jirens on board, it's a very spooky position. So here, kicking it off with the turn 1 charge of the Krillin into the Android 20, and then passing it off to the Jiren player, who will be able to get rid of that 1 drop with this 1 drop Whis.
Bummer. Well, there goes that. I mean, you know, yeah, if you're playing Dr. Giro's lab, you kind of wanted the drop, so yeah, there's a benefit. You gotta look at the upside, right? Yeah, it's pretty interesting that for this matchup in general, we are playing the vanillas, which means we might be playing some of the Android 17 tags, but we'll see. Could be just vanillas and 10Ks in hand, that type of thing. But yeah, it's pretty interesting that, you know, we play Broly that has 2 swings, and if Jiren has the right setup and the right cards on board, then the 2 swings just really means 1, if not at all, any of them, that kind of thing. So we're gonna see if we're gonna be able to keep up with Android 17's curve here. It doesn't look like we have too much to remove or even play. We're gonna go ahead and draw 1 from our Master Roshi.
Yeah, and unfortunately, unless we draw into it, no turn 3 ramp here for Android player, which we really want to see be able to accelerate things, especially since we've got so many of these 4-drop droids in our hand. We really want the ability to be able to, and ask for it, and you shall see. Destructive Strength now providing the ability to be able to go up to 4, and then next turn putting us to 5, which is a really sweet spot you want to be at, because this will allow us to chain back-to-back 4 drops and really accelerate our ramp so that the subsequent turn we can then drop Broly. However, we don't love Destructive Strengthening into our super combos, but you do what you gotta do. And then here we're going to use this Kami here, get rid of this very annoying Whis, and pass it back over to our Jiren player here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that we did go ahead and top deck exactly what we needed, right? It's always pretty convenient that we got that, but we were able to ramp. We're going to be able to get to 5 energy next turn, so it's going to kind of be in a better position that we were before as Android 17. 15 to 15, bring them down to 5 most likely. I don't see there's any reason to defend this one, but after that, you know, it's Jiren's court. We could play this Gohan Adolescence, get rid of that calming, and continue the force if we need to. But I have a feeling that we might not do that.
Yeah, and at the very least, droids, you know, on their awakened side also get to be a 30k lead, which is really nice when you're considering that Jiren's a 25k, which can be pretty tough for some leads to attack. And then we do see some late game here from Jiren's hand, so eventually we'll be able to do things like drop Double Striker into Double Striker, and we do have some extra cards to be able to extend the amount of power we're able to swing into our opponents here. So we are going to opt to defend, staying at a high life total, which I don't necessarily dislike, because if you're a deck that can just drop bomb after bomb, you're pretty comfortable just chilling, but it did come to pass. Does look like our call here. Oh, okay, no. So we're going to play the Gohan, but we're not going to push to get rid of this Kami. Very interesting.
Hey, that's fine. You know, it was interesting because, like, if they defended that first swing from the leader to leader, bring them down to 5, then yeah, it makes sense not to swing. But, you know, bring them down to 5. and get rid of the Kami. You know, get rid of that combo power. But I guess it's just the fact of let me just go and use my energy and not give him an extra card. Maybe they have some self-awakening. Who knows what the mindset is for that one. But,
and we were just talking about drawing the perfect card, and this Trunks is the perfect card because now effectively what we're going to be able to do is go 4-drop twins, ramp, play 4-drop twins, ramp, and that'll leave us at exactly 3 energy to be able to play Trunks, which will then be able to ramp us from the top of our deck. And so we've been able to ramp 3 times and play 3 20Ks this turn, and that'll get us to the exact energy we need to stop dropping Broly after Broly turn to turn over turn. So absolutely massive here. And the big thing is that next turn we're going to be able to draw Broly and still have 1 energy up to be able to hold onto Gigantic Meteor. So exactly what you want to see here as an Android player.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not really much else you can really ask for, right? So, especially with 2 different Brolys in hand. Sure, as Jiren, we do have not only our Goku, the 3-drop, where we can play and pop it. We can awaken, you know, get a bit of a boost for our 3-cost Gohan as well. Sure, we have all of this, but it doesn't look like we're doing that because if we're swinging with a leader, we're not even getting that that extra boost from awakening. So I'm interested to see what our plan is here for our Jiren player.
And you do have to be a little bit mindful about going down to 4 as the Android player because Sphere of Destruction, we saw 1 charge, we do see 1 here in Jiren's hand, able to actually burn you down to 3 life, which is very annoying. It's going to be able to board control and burn you, which is some pretty good work here on that. So a little bit of awareness there just to make sure to not go to 3 because naturally, you don't, while we don't mind taking life when necessary in the early game, into the late game it's a little bit annoying, but we have some potential for some decent board control. We can swing Gohan, we can get rid of that Kami if we wanted to, then we can go into Sphere of Destruction, get something off of the board, and then finally we can play 3-drop Goku to get rid of another 20k off the board. So some pretty decent plays here for Jiren to at least clean up the board, but we're still gonna have to face Broly into Broly over the subsequent next couple of turns, so really huge here. But it does look like we're gonna take the swing. So high likelihood here that we're going to go down to 3 life, but at the very least we're awakened and we're a 30k leader.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's getting a little tricky for both of them. You know, we're going to be able to awaken for both leaders. My thing is that, you know, as soon as we get to the Android 17's turn, we're going to become 17 18 now. And now, as we were talking about, Sphere of Destruction coming down, giving us another Broly for whatever reason, popping our card and as well as bringing us down to 3. So now we're going to go ahead and play our Vegeta.
Yep, swinging here for 20k, be able to discard 2 cards, get an additional 30k, and be able to combo or KO something off the board without KOing the Vegeta himself. So huge swing here into being able to destroy something off the board. And then, of course, can't be KO'd, which means Broly's just going to end up staring at it. So very aggressive play here, which is a good one, especially considering that we're not in a position to be able to play something like a 4-drop Jiren. We just haven't drawn into it. So a lot of aggression here on a big body that's able to deal with something on the board. Exactly what we want to see here as the Jiren player, and force a little bit of a question to the opponent, like how badly do you want this? Now, I don't think we're in a position to take this. I think we definitely just super combo our way out of this attack, and then kind of just let our Brolys do the work from there. So we'll see how we're able to defend, but the next couple turns are going to be tight. I think we're in a very much position that either players can be able to take this, but we're going to see some really big green turns here, and we'll just have to see how aggressive we can get in the face of trying to close out against Broly here.
Yeah, you know, I think Broly is going to be the play. We do have the 17 and 18, but because we're going against Jiren, you know, we may as well just go ahead and play our Broly. You know, just have our big 8-drop that's hard to deal with just on the board. We'll be able to go ahead and charge something here. We have 3 Brolys. We may charge one of them. Who knows? And then just have one for our 1-cost extra card here in our hand.
Yeah.
For defense or offense. So I think that's probably what we're going to do. We probably want the extra draw instead of the 17 and 18 as well, because we could pop the 2-3 cost. It could be easier that way. But I think what the deal is here, the best way to go about it is to swing into our Gohan 30 to 20, let him go away from there, play the Broly, pop the Vegeta, and then swing into their leader twice. So it's going to be a little bit harder for them to awaken and use that permanent ability.
Yeah, Vegeta actually does have KO protection because of his swing, so it'll be a little bit weird, which will be a little bit weirder. And then like the beauty too here is that because there is a big body on board, Jiren also protects himself from double strike if he's awakened. So like you want to keep the droids because double striking is going to be one of the more powerful ways you're able to close out the game. But then you're in a position where you really have to question, am I going to be able to actually double strike the opponent depending on what they have on board? So Jiren here is posing some very good questions. Here we're gonna let our battle card go. And, oh, okay, I love this play. I actually love this play. So we're not gonna be able to double strike you down to close out the game right away, but we are in a position where we can get you down to 2 life, which is very important because as a Jiren player, you want to awaken at 3 so that you net that additional card for taking a damage. So going down to 2 and then representing a board that says, hey, now you need to respect my androids, and if not, then I'll be able to close it. I like this play a lot. This is big ups play from our droids player here, getting Jiren down to 2, being able to swing here with the lead, gonna force a card out of hand, potentially could gigantic meteor for the follow-up here. You do need to be careful because obviously you have a 50k swing in that Vegeta plus potential double strike from the opponent, but very heads up play. I really like the sequencing here from our droids player.
Yeah, I think this is perfect. You know, I think this is exactly where we should have went. And after popping those 2, taking away the combo power and forcing them from 4 to 2, the classic Dragon Ball double strike before awakening, that is exactly what we wanted. And yeah, sure, we awakened here, but we're at 2. It doesn't feel great. We're going to be able to get 10k out of our hand from our Jiren player, and very likely we're going to be able to draw from our Bulma, get another card in hand, get that 5k combo on board, which, you know, you're going against red, so you might not see that again. But we'll at least have our 1 cost extra card to defend against with.
Yeah, so would have loved here to see maybe the Bulma into the swing for getting into that juicy magical numbers, 10k above, but nevertheless, powerful draws here from Jiren. Did draw into the Kefla, so could potentially chain Kefla into playing another battle card if we draw into it. We did lose the opportunity to be able to swing and awaken here to get draws from Jiren player. We haven't seen our 4-cost Jirens either, so we're at a point where we're very much stuck on draws, but we have some powerful cards. We do end up charging the Whis, and now we've got 5 if we want to go for the double striker. Of course, we've got the swing here with Vegeta. So no, instead we are going to opt here to go for the Whis, give minus 5k to the Bulma here, and that leaves us 4 energies to be able to try and extend some plays here. We do have the Margarita in hand to be able to pump up our board and combo, so we do have big numbers here, and Jiren might just be deciding whether it's worth to press his advantage here for game, and it does look like the Vegeta swing is going to indicate that, and we'll see what the follow-up is from there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it could be worse. Let's just put it that way. It definitely could be worse. This now has that KO protection that we're talking about before, and now is a 50k swing, which is going to be very hard to defend against with. This looks like we're saying, hey, it's just worth it not to even do that. They're at also 4 energy instead of 5, so a lot of their cards like the one that they charged, obviously you can see that, and the one that we have in our hand, the Goku 5 cost, it's not going to threaten our double strike range for being at 2 life. So we're going to go ahead and swing 25 to 20. It'll be an easy 10k if they don't combo, and so we can go from there.
So interesting pitch on that Vegeta was the Kefla. And of course, at this point, Kefla is down limited to 1, so we won't be seeing another one of those unless we use that arrogance in our hand to be able to scoop it back up. So we do have that option at some point. We do have a battle card on board that's big enough to meet that. Looks like we're going to kick it off with a Fua, give minus 15 to the twins, and then utilize the Vegeta to be able to KO it. And of course, Vegeta will be protected due to his one attacking ability. And that'll be it. We do have the 2 to be able to use the extra card on defense, but big ups turn here for our droids players.
Yep, we have some options. Still have the 2 Broly Broly's in our hand. Our Jiren player showed his own combos after 17 showed his. So it's cool. Yeah, we're going a bit of a back and forth. This is becoming a pretty close game, despite the 7 to 6 card hand, and despite the kind of weird back and forth. Honestly, right? Like we're getting into a turn where it's exactly where 17-18 wants to be. High energy, a couple cards in hand. Now throwing down the Broly, 2 of them in our energy to flex on them for. Draw into a card that we can't combo, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and pop the Fua, and we're probably gonna go ahead and try to at least get 1 damage in against the Jiren player.
Back-to-back cards we can't combo. Very unfortunate here in terms of line of play, but we can potentially use that Bulma, maybe get another draw in our hand. We do have the gigantic meteor. We're gonna combo out 10k here. Jiren still having 20k, actually 40. Oh, okay, we got 3 super combos in hand, so we got a lot of combo power here. But of course, we're in a pretty sweet position here, depending on how we sequence our attacks as the droids player, just because we got the 2 swings from Broly here, and that's going to force at least super combo plus card out of the opponent's hand, which doesn't leave Jiren with a lot to try to be able to close out the game. And if we hold on to that gigantic meteor, we're in a pretty sweet spot. And if we just take this, I doubt we're losing next swing, but we're going to probably have to spend a lot to defend against some big attacks here. So very clutch calls here from both players. They're both at very dangerous life totals, both being able to threaten going for lethal. And it does look like we're going to glimpse here and give ourselves the 50k boost. Still being able to net a 10k out of our drop here. So we're going to get up that margarita potentially to represent trying to close out the game.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's pretty cool. The Margarita will give you that extra 10k along with her own 10k, which is pretty nice. And it's going to be a pretty deadly swing when it comes down to it, especially with that 5-cost Goku threatening the double strike. So yeah, it's becoming a little bleak with the 2 back-to-back cards being drawn on 17's end. But you know, this is just kind of how it is. This is the struggle of taking down big bad Jiren, being at 25k power, while everyone else, I guess except for Broly, is at 20k. So hey, we're seeing some progress a little bit here and there from both ends, but it's really coming down to the last few turns coming up.
Yeah, it's a big decision here, because you can swing into the Jiren leader, but then I'll give him 2 more extra cards. And then they really just want the guys to be able to double strike. You do feel safe having a super combo and a gigantic meteor in hand. So it's a lot. Yeah. It is very much a lot. But then, you know, we've only got 20k combo in our hand.
We don't think about that part. Don't worry about that part. We tackle the problems as they come.
True.
The Dragon Ball way. I think we are going to swing at least 1 more time. You know, like, I don't think there's really a downside here. If you swing with a Broly, you can't come up with it anyway. If you give him an extra card, at least you set it up for the next turn. If you don't, then no big deal. I don't think they can really remove the Broly in a very efficient way outside of maybe Vegeta, I guess. I don't know. I'm really just trying to think of what our thought process is here.
Yeah, it's just the danger of being able to give Jiren 2 additional cards. So, like you swing, Jiren takes it, goes from 5 cards to 7 cards in hand, will draw for turn, go to 8. You know, and then you charge one of them, play the Margarita, be able to boost up what you're attacking with for a huge double strike attack. Now, is that getting through? I don't know. But, yeah, it does look like we're just going to call it there, which is kind of like, yeah, you were hinting at it, and the combination of the double striker into Vegeta here will actually be a means to be able to get rid of this Broly, which is very unfortunate. And then we had to charge 2 more Brolys earlier in the game, and we really need those Brolys to be what we want to close out this game. So we can lean on the double strike ability of the twins with the 6-drop, but we need to do a little bit of board cleanup before we're able to do that. So a tough position here, especially as we go to 6. So Jiren does have a few plays in line in terms of just swinging a bit with that double striker. So
yeah, I mean, we do have 2 open energy, so we're trying to represent, like, hey, I have 2 gigantic meteors. You're not gonna get past me. Even if you have a double striker, you put everything on it. There's 2 double gigantics in my hand right now that you may or may not know of. plus all my other combo power, you're not gonna get past that. Maybe that's what we're thinking of and trying to represent as well. Because we could have easily played that Bulma, right? But that Bulma is gonna get popped by the Whis, so that's already automatic 5k out of our hand. And if we draw into another card that isn't a combo power again, which would be pretty devastating, I mean that would just feel bad too. So, you know, there's some thought process all around for both 17 and 18 and Jiren, and you know we're getting to closer and closer, like I said, to the last few turns. So I think what we're gonna have here is probably some thought process of using Goku and to at least threaten their life as far as the last 2 life. But the thing is that we do have to discard 2, and we don't draw on swing with Jiren like we do with every other you know, leader. So some upsides and downsides. I think Jiren was really, like you were saying, trying to get to that 8 card hand, and we just didn't get there.
Yeah, this is definitely the make or break turn for Jiren here. There's a line that could give him potential success. I think this is one of those decision points where there may be a choice on whether we're playing to win or playing to not lose. And that is very much the corner that Jiren is in right now, trying to understand whether we're going to push for the double strike or we're going to push for some initial swings. Vegeta, of course, can swing for 50k, but that's going to require discarding 2 cards from our hand. And are we really going to discard something like 2 super combos? You know, so, or a 10k combo. So it does look like we are going to go for the double strike here. We have 2 potential targets. We can either get rid of the twins or we can hit the Broly. Looks like we are going to hit the twins here, get rid of that 10k combo. Are we just going to go in with this? Are we going to pay the 1 energy to play the Margarita and then swing into droids and say, is this enough? Which, very spooky position when we're looking at that gigantic meteor in hand. What is Jiren going to do now? Because next turn, we're going to be facing off against a Broly. Going to kick it off with a 25k swing to start. You don't want to take this either, because then that Vegeta can represent a 50k swing. Oh my god, we're going down to 1.
Oh man, I mean, you know, to us, we have perfect knowledge. We get to see both players' hands. It's a difficult thing of like, yeah, we have the Margarita, we're gonna boost it up. We have that extra one. That's 55k guaranteed for a double strike. But the thing is, because you know the Android 17 player knows that as well. The thing is that now that we're at 1, like you said, the Vegeta is now also going to be a threat, and it's also going to be a thing to watch out for. So I think we are trying to represent 2 gigantics, right? I think we're really trying to say, hey, I have enough combo power. I'm just going to go ahead and take this one. It doesn't matter how many times you swing at me. And they're going to have to make that decision as Jiren to combo with their super combos, because if they don't get this through, then the next following turn, they really don't have anything to defend themselves with. So this is going to be an all-out attack for sure for this turn.
Yeah, huge swings here. It's just tough. I understand we want to hold enough combo power for the double strike, but now we're in a position where we have 2 lethal attackers, whereas previously you would have only had 1. Presuming that you would have been able to defend against the Vegeta, but if the Vegeta does the combo ability, it does the whole thing. So we'll see here. 40k swing that we can protect with the gigantic meteor, but then we have the Vegeta that's going to be able to swing for 50k, 60, 70. And here on the droid side, we're going to have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 just on the dot. So the exact math here, we got the Margarita here able to buff up by an additional 10k, 30k. Vegeta here going for the swing ability proc, gonna be able to discard 2 cards here, buff up by an additional 30k, going up to 60k power and going to 80 total here. 70 in our Android player's hand, just not enough. We're going to represent it. 50, 60, 65, 70. 2 dead draws got to us, and unfortunately for our Android player, Jiren crawled it back to close out this game 1.
Wow, look at that. Perfect math. And hey, we're really getting to the next game right after this.
And we're jumping back into game 2 of this semi-final match. And as a reminder to our viewers, in this semi-finals, it is a best of 3 where both players need to bring in 2 different decks and need to win twice with both decks to move on to the grand finals. Previous game, we had Jiren on the top side, who has now won their game 1 and now swapped into Frieza. So if Frieza wins this game 2, that'll be a 2-0 clean sweep into the grand finals. If droids claw their way back, then we'll be going into a game 3 that will be the deciding factor.
Yep, this one's going to be a little more interesting than the last one. I mean, actually, you know, the last game was actually quite good. It was pretty close. Just came down to numbers and a little bit of sequencing. You know, Jiren versus Andrew 17. It's a, like I said, interesting matchup. For this one is a tale as old as time since the inception of the game. Yellow versus green, and yellow generally is a little bit better against green. Not to say that, you know, it's any better than the matchup for Jiren or with Jiren. But it's just a little fast, you know, they awaken a little bit quicker. There's a lot of lower costed cards. Some of the cards out of set 3 and below has helped the deck. There's a couple here and there, and you might see those upcoming here. But we're going to start out with a pretty cool 2-cost Krillin. Looking at the top 5, getting Android 18 or an extra card from hand. We grab that 4-cost ramp card here.
Yeah, the consistency can't be underplayed. Between a bunch of 1-drops and 2-drops are able to find everything you need going into that turn 3. Krillin here super powerful because it can find you that destructive strength. It can find you as its 4-drop twins, which lines up your curve perfectly. But Frieza here having some pretty good cards to kind of aggress back. We do have the 3-drop Vegeta in hand, which can provide some destruction protection, which is pretty huge. Now, droids do circumvent that pretty well because they can swing with a lot of 20Ks going to turn 3, turn 4, which makes it very expensive to defend that Vegeta. But if timed right, that Vegeta can shut down a lot of the removal that's available for green here. So we do have the potential to swarm. We have the potential to be able to draw cards here. We do see some interesting text in terms of 3-drop Vegeta in hand. And of course, we can keep our opponent's hand stunned down, or board stunned down. So a lot of good, solid plays here available for yellow. But subsequently, droids off to a fantastic start with that turn 2 Krillin, which now led into a destructive strength, and now we'll have the 5 energy. And just like I was talking about in game 1, drawing into that Trunks, which means next turn we can go into the perfect line of 4-drop ramp, 4-drop ramp, 3-drop Trunks ramp once more, putting us at exactly 8 energy. That if we top deck a Broly, we'll be able to press a lot of damage into our opponent. So 20k swing here into the Frieza to try to keep the board clean. And then, of course, we'll have a Krillin swing here. If the opponent defends this, that's 2 cards in hand. Puts us in a pretty sweet early game position.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing everything that we need for the most part. You know, these 4-costed Ender 17s, this following turn is going to look pretty good. Our Frieza player is actually defending against our Frieza. We're probably going to keep this alive just so we can continue to awaken early. We do have a couple of options for that with another Frieza in our hand as well, and of course that Vegeta that we were talking about before for that KO protection. So I think that is probably what we're going to do, since we're going to go ahead and combo that other Frieza in our hand. We're going to swing with our Frieza, play the Vegeta, and then awaken and restand our cards as needed. So it's gonna be pretty cool for this upcoming turn for our Frieza player.
Yeah, and I do like the inclusion here of some of the Ginyu Force. Does give Frieza a little bit of swarm potential, which you definitely need against this green heavy format. Just the ability to be able to play out 2 to 3 bodies for relatively cheap, and a lot of aggression can go a long way, especially when you combo that with when you take that in combination with some of the stun cards here. So puts us in a pretty sweet position. We do get droids down to 4. We'll allow them to awaken and decide now is the time I'm able to play this Vegeta. Does have the opportunity to play a 1-drop here as well as self-awaken. So we're going to be able to awaken, draw a card. We're going to be able to swing with the Vegeta or swing with our leader, and then draw an additional card from that Bulma afterwards. And what's really sweet is this combo with Frieza. So you have the Vegeta in rest mode that's going to be able to prevent your stuff from being KO'd, but then you have your Frieza ability that's able to restand 2 of your cards. So not only are you making it so that your opponent can't target your battle cards to swing into, keeping them protected, but additionally, you're in a position where you can actually restand the Bulma, which can, either rest mode another battle card if you don't want to deal with it, or draw you an additional card. So every copy of Bulma from here on forth will be an additional draw card. So these Bulmas will be able to draw 2 cards, assuming they can't get rid of them. Now, Kami will naturally be able to get rid of these cards if they're in active mode, because Bulma can, Vegeta only protects things that are in rest mode. But nevertheless, that would be something that takes droids off their ramp turn. So now probably worth it to get rid of some draw, but these are some of the powerful plays that are available here for Frieza, so much so that we've used the energy marker to be able to play the second Bulma, which takes away some of our late game plays, but does put us in a position to hopefully draw enough cards in this mid game to take us into the finish line going into the end game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, you know. Every deck has its combos, and Frieza is more of just, hey, I want to protect my stuff, and I want to draw cards. And that's what we did with our 2 Bulma cards here, being able to draw, and most likely to be able to draw this turn as well. And hey, that's fine. We have some ramp on our end on 17 and 18's turn. The double 17 and 18 for cost, basically getting us 2 extra energy for the turn. Obviously, it's a little more convoluted than that, but we're going to end up with 7 energy here. So I think we're probably be able to pop our Bulma cards with our Kamis as well, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. We're gonna be able to swing with our 30k leader, maybe bump it up to 40, threaten maybe one of these cards on board, or even one of their lives out of their 4. But yeah, let's take away some of that draw power. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, very painful here, unfortunately, for the Frieza player, because that, you know, the entire turn of the previous turn was to set up this line, and for the opponent to just straight up have both Kamis makes it so rough. And now you really want to keep this Vegeta, because obviously that board protection is what you're going to need now that you're probably going to face a Broly next turn. But it is so painful to have to defend it, because now you won't have the gas that you need to be able to attack into multiple attackers turn over turn. So we've defended our board, but at the cost of a massive amount of our hand. And it's just, that's going to be a way we're going to have to crawl our way back, especially since we're facing, you know, don't have to knock the top end of the green decks, but you're also facing 320Ks. So the Android's incredibly good at swarming the board and providing kind of that mid-range counter aggro. Plus we got 2 10Ks chilling on board also. So it's costing us a lot to protect this, but we have to be the aggro deck in this matchup. We can't be the control, because green's top end's going to beat us. So a very tough position for the Frieza player here. Set up an amazing last previous turn that honestly would have netted so many cards had we not had the Kamis here. But recognize that I need to win by aggro. I need to keep these cards on board here. And at the very least, this turn you can play out the Goku to put yourself in a position to stun down 220k swing, so you won't have to worry about it. But this is a very tough position for a Frieza player here.
Yeah, a little unfortunate losing those Bulmas. Those are 2 draws that we could have got back on both turns. But, you know, with every power in the world, there must be some balance. And I think those Kamis, as a Namekian god, they provided some balance. So that's okay. We're going to go ahead and take these 2 lives, which is pretty interesting in itself. Maybe because we just want some more cards in hand. Maybe we have a little bit more of confidence that we're just not going to lose this turn, that type of thing. And they're only at 4 energy, so I don't think there's really going to be too much of a threat of losing this turn. Yeah. And I don't think there's too many things that they can do to get rid of these Kamis, so those are free reign to combo as well.
I think there's a huge amount of disrespect by just taking these 2.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly. I mean, very honestly, because like, come on, now we can get a lot of cards on board. We can do a lot of stuff. We charged one of the Friezes in our energy area as well, which has double strike. So I mean, like, hey, that could mean we have another one. But it looks like we're going to defend finally, making sure that we don't go down to 1. And so that's something. That's a little respect, right?
Yeah, some, I guess. But it's just, especially now leading up into like a play where at this point we probably have some inclination that we know that the opponent's on Ginyu stuff. So now they can go into Raccoon, into 2-drop Ginyu. They'll have the 3 Frida's army on board to be able to restand the 2 energy, which will then allow to go into, I don't know, some 1-drop Sorbet, be able to draw a card, go from there. So a lot of counter aggro potential here. Now, of course, you do have to be mindful about all these 20Ks, and the opponent can play a Broly to turn afterwards, potentially. But yeah, very, very interesting choices here. We are going to play the Goku. He's going to be able to rest mode one of those 20Ks and then swing, be able to keep another one of those 20Ks. And that does two things. Of course, not only does it prevent you from being able to attack with them, but it also means that you don't get 20K combo back, which is pretty relevant. And then the 30K swing here, which like valid, the opponent hasn't really been defending. And we're going to go down to 1. Why? Why are we not defending?
I don't have an answer for you. I don't have an answer for you.
And then
I mean, we're
being able to restand here, like, come on.
Yeah. You know, I don't really have an answer for you, but they only have 5 cards in hand. They have 4 life, sure. But maybe we're just getting greedy as our 17-18 player, right? I think that's pretty much what the idea is, just being able to get all the cards in our hand, being a little more, like I said, greedy. We do have our 2 Android 18 cards in our hand that can draw and discard and draw on swing. So we're likely not going to be able to play the Broly. I don't think that's very smart with 3 different gigantic meteors in our hand because we want to use those and keep that energy open. So if I was the 17-18 player, I would probably go ahead and swing with our leader into this Vegeta after charging, play out the 17s, that type of thing. But it looks like we're just going face. Forget all that. We're going to go face. We're most likely going to kill face through the rest of the turn.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so we charge the Broly, and like this is the power of the twins here, is the fact that you always get the opportunity to choose on whether you're going to be playing big bombs or you're going to go into a swarm strategy. And the power with their swarm strategy is that it nets you a bunch of cards. So we're now in a potential where we've got 3 gigantic meteors in hand. Okay. And then we actually have the opportunity to be able to swing 3 times with the cards in our hand. We can play Krillin. Krillin will be able to get either another extra card or potentially another 10K combo into hand. So replaces himself. And then we do have the 2 Android 18s there that will draw, discard, be able to clean up our hand, and then additionally be able to draw cards themselves. So just in hand alone for 6 energy, we have 3 20K swings, all of which effectively draw us a card, probably drawing us into 10K combo, and then forcing more cards out of the opponent's hand. But you do want to be careful with how much you're aggroing, because obviously you're just giving the opponent more cards to be able to close out the game here. So we do combo out of the swing. We're not going to take this one, but we do still have the Goku next turn. We've got the Frieza that's going to be swung into, and it does look like we're going to go into these Krillin plays, see what the top of our deck holds. 10K combo did replace itself, and now we got a 20K swing. So effectively what you're doing here with these plays is, if you're defending all of them, these are 2 card swings. You drew one and your opponent lost one. So at this point, I do think respecting the swings make a lot of sense. I do think you need to be wary as Frieza that you don't want to be in double strike range. This is probably what they're worried about right now. So do kind of need to respect the double striking twins and defend this one. But afterwards, you're in a position where you're not too scared, but a triple gigantic meteor in hand is really, 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 really good. So as much as as much as I want to be slightly upset by the amount of disrespect we've shown by just going down to 1 life, I do think it's going to pay off here for our Android player.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's options. There's things that can happen. And like I said, these Android 18s are going to do a little bit of work. We drew into another Broly, so we can use that for later. We're drawing to more and more cards, now having 11 cards in hand. And these 20K swings are nothing to scoff at when we have 6 cards in hand, going down to 5. So we're completely annoying that Vegeta too, by the way. We're just saying, we don't really care about that one. It's going to swing whether it wants to or not. My thing, though, is that if we are going to play that 17, we want to use those the cards on board, because at least one of them is going to be rested from the Frieza swing. So we want to definitely go ahead and combo those off. I guess this is also a decision of like, okay, do we want to play the 2-cost Android 17 to draw and keep it going, or do we want to play this Android 20 so that way we have the 3 gigantic meteors are in hand to use? And I guess that's what it is. We have the 10K combo from that, and we only lose 1 of these cards that are standing from that Frieza swing. Which is most likely going to be that Kami. You know, that's a 10K combo right there.
Part of me was almost hoping that we swing with Kami, use gigantic meteor, see if they take it, and then go all in with the Bulma.
I mean, that's the timeline that probably isn't in this match, but most likely in a random digital match for ranking, right? So I think that's what it is. And I think this is what it is where, hey, this is probably going to be our last turn. We're both at 1. We're going to go ahead and take the life where we can. We're going to go ahead and tap down that Kami into rest mode. And yeah, this is going to be it. This is going to be the last turn for both of our players.
Yep. Frieza here understanding the situation, knowing that this is going to be their last turn. So we're going to go ahead and go down to 1 life, draw us an additional card to play out that Raccoon into the Ginyu, get us back to 4 energy, be able to play out this Vegeta here. We'll swing with the Vegeta. And the math, unfortunately, here will not play out in the way that Frieza wants. So it'll be a 25 to 30k here defending. We have no more energy, so we need to make it happen with these 4 cards on a board, plus the restand from the Vegeta here. We'll be able to get rid of that Kami and then get another swing here with the leader swing for a total of 6 individual swings. Only one needs to get through. Going wide makes a lot of sense. The opponent left up energy, so you need to go wide. I don't necessarily love not comboing here though. You need to force cards out of the opponent's hand. You know that your opponent's holding up energy. You need to put them in a position to force out things like gigantic meteors, things like earth destroying. So I would love to see a little bit more comboing here. We've got 1 of our attacks going through here, and then 4 more following 30k. Eating out a super combo here.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the battle of attrition in the wrong way, right? We have a lot of attacks, sure, but this will only be effective if the hand sizes were switched, right? If our 17 player only had 3 cards in hand, and even if they were gigantics, the math just checks out. But now we have 8 cards in hand and only a few cards or a few attacks left in our arsenal, and I don't think it's just going to be enough. I think we're going to be able to get down to the point where we can defend, and then on the next falling turn, we're just going to dump everything into our last attack.
Yeah, so here we go, 20k, and now we're down to our last swing with the Vegeta for 25, 30. We're going to have 50k combo here, comboing everything out of the hand, dumping everything. Here we go. But of course, we do have that gigantic meteor, going to get us to that 45, and then just a 10k combo will be all we need to get out of there. So droids in a position to be able to win out in this game 2, forcing out a game 3 in these semi-finals. We do see the gigantic meteor here to way out super combo here, and that'll be the forfeit, moving us into a game 3.
Okay, so we're in game 3, the final match of this series, and now we do have our new blue Goku versus our yellow Frieza. Both of these players actually switched out decks because they are required to learn with 2 different decks in this digital tournament. Now, this is cool. You know, we have a little bit of a different setup. You know, before we had Frieza versus androids, and then 2 other different colors, and now we have a completely different color in blue. So what do you think about this match, George, as I am joined once again?
Yeah, lots of things here available, Brian. It's a very interesting dynamic where the previous matches were very much pushed along, you know, how far can we get into the late game, whereas now in this game 3, it's board control. You're going to be the blue deck that's trying to keep everything in rest mode to make sure that the Halo Coup isn't be able to net the benefits of having a bunch of high school cards on the board. Meanwhile, as blue, you have a ton of things like 4-drop Gohan to be able to bottom deck a bunch of cards on the board, all of which are kind of like within range for this Frieza deck. So both decks kind of respond into each other really, really well. Halo Coup gonna have a struggle being able to maintain board versus Frieza, who's also gonna struggle to maintain board. We do see those Great Saiyaman extra cards in hand being able to help us get into some late game removal, and of course in late game blue Goku here will have the ability to draw a lot of cards with you like girls with short hair. So lots of back and forth we're going to be seeing over these subsequent turns, and I'm very, very interested to see kind of how it's going to play out, especially since Frieza does have the benefit of having like aggro with that Raccoon package that we were seeing in the previous game. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, well, we're going to start out with Sharpener. and this is going to do the activate main. You reveal the top of the card in the deck, and if it's the same city and it's special traits during this turn, next time you use an action card, which we're going to do right now, reduce it by 1 blue. That Great Saiyan Man card coming down and using its effects, and probably just go ahead and pass that turn to Frieza, which we are right now, playing down the 1-costed Frieza, being able to rest down any card, and then now we're going to swing into that Sharpener, which is pretty important. That Activate Main is pretty useful for our Goku player, and it is a 10k combo, so that's an easy, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that real quick right now.
Very slow turn for Frieza, unfortunately, which is not where you want to be. You do not want to play late game against a deck that's able to drop things like 5-drop Secret Rare Vegito, but unfortunately just no great plays in hand. At best, potentially tempo out a 2-cost Ginyu, but that doesn't feel amazing. So just not an awesome spot here. Going to be able to play that 1-drop Zamasu, bottom deck the 1-drop, and now we're in territory where we can start utilizing Peel-Off here. We're going to play the Peel-Off, get back the Sharpener, be able to play out the Sharpener, keep up our board of a bunch of different school cards, which is great. And of course now we've got Peel-Offs to be able to go back and forth into one another. So a very powerful sequencing of plays here. Interesting to say that we're going to play into the Peel-Offs right away. Frieza is a deck that's able to rest mode multiple cards, so if you get both of these Peel-Offs KO'd, you are going to have to start finding either a Videl or another Peel-Off to start looping those, which is fine. You don't mind needing those in the late game, especially as you're still at 7 life. So very healthy life total as we go into our 5th energy play on the back turn. Here we do see the 1-drop. We're going to rest mode the Hercule. I do like it because you do need to get rid of Hercule. Hercule representing an on attack, being able to reduce the cost of something on board, which can make you hyper susceptible to things like the Great Saiyan Man extra card or the 4-drop Gohan. And that 4-drop Gohan is precisely what Frieza is most scared of in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. At least we're getting a little bit more momentum, being able to awaken now after using the combo with Ginyu and as well as Raccoon. We got a couple of 20k attackers. We're gonna try to knock down some life and recoup some of the lost time that we had a slow start from. And we're gonna go ahead and keep going. This time with a Bulma. Gonna go swing with the Raccoon so that way we can use our Bulma's effect. Most likely, gonna try and do another goal. Why not? A little bit more draw and another target to restand. So that's some good stuff here.
Yeah, this is what we were seeing sequenced and lined up in the previous game. However, the Android player did have access to some Kamis to be able to get rid of those. Not going to be that same position here at the moment. So unless we use the Great Saiyan Man, which we can, to get rid of these Bulmas, we could potentially draw a bunch of cards here. So gonna take a little bit more effort in this game 3. And obviously would be a bit of a tempo loss for the Goku player, but we do have means to get rid of those Bulmas, because if we don't, then this Frieza player is going to be able to start netting card draw on these, which is very, very powerful. So I have to see whether we choose tempo or we choose a little bit of board control here. Now, thankfully for our Goku player here, just have to play out the Sharpener, then we'll have the 1 Star High School player battle card to be able to make sense of these Great Saiyans in our hand.
Yeah. I mean, these Great Saiyans are gonna do what they want to do. Get rid of these Bulmas.
One day,
we do have
one day they will stick for an entire turn cycle.
Yeah, our last game unfortunately had something similar, double Kami, and now we're gonna get double Great Saiyan. I feel like our blue Goku / Android player really just has it out for our Bulmas. But hey, those are 3 cards in a hand. That's a downside somewhere, right? So we're gonna go ahead and combo the one of our 10k combos here on board and go to 25. Our Frieza player is gonna take it. Getting a little greedy going down to 3, but I don't think it's too big of a deal since we do have quite a large hand. And sure, we can play down our Secret Rare Vegito and a couple other things later in the game, but it's not that big of a deal. We're gonna go ahead and continue with our 2-cost Videl. And when attacking, if you have 7 or less, you get to get a non-Videl blue card with 3 or less in Earthling. We're going to go ahead and grab that Hercule right back out of our drop.
And Goku leader here feeling pretty comfortable. If we're in a position now where Frieza is going to attack into our leader, we're awakened. Now we can always set up the top of our deck for things like Sharpener and of course the additional removal provided here. So Videl, we feel fine protecting Videl from 20k swings because she can get those cards back. So eventually, if on defense we need to protect it, not too bad. But Frieza does have a pretty loaded hand. Does have a lot of choices going into turn 5. Can double strike. Can potentially play out the Gokus, can pick you some stuff in rest mode. And it can start setting up for things like Majin Vegeta potentially. So a lot of different lines available. Will just be what gets us there best. As we face down against this blue deck here. And it does look like we'll start that off by protecting our Raccoon from this first attack. And now the question really lies on Frieza. How are we going to sequence this turn? Interesting. So we're still playing out the 3-drop vanilla. That's some tech from set 1 format that I do like a lot. This time around, we're going to see it being charged. But it's very much a card I appreciate. We do have the 2-drop to be able to rest mode something on board to be able to provide less combo power. I do think being aggressive is where this deck wants to be in this matchup. Because late game can get very spooky, especially against a blue deck that can play things like a Zeno, can play the 5-drop secret rare a lot. If you don't pressure your opponent here, they are going to run away with the game. We just ignore the Videl. That never feels great, especially since the Videl can net a card. It makes it even harder. But the opponent will probably feel very comfortable defending the Videl. Kind of a lose-lose position here. And at this point, Frieza's decided that, you know what, it's about time we awaken this leader here.
Yeah, why not? Not too much of a threat while we have such a large hand and they do not. But they are blue, so a lot of the things that they want to do, they want to have 7 or less in our hand anyway. But these 20k swings mean a lot more now that we're going to try to eat at their hand. We can be at life parity, just take this one and get an extra card in their hand. But like I said, we're blue, so we want to, you know, keep around that 7 or 6 cards in our hand type thing, especially since we're going to be able to use our activate battle.
So there we go with a couple of 20k swings. Another 20k swing here. Yellow, the master of hitting for 20k. And of course, in Dragon Ball Fusion World, if the numbers are the same, the attacker is advantaged. So our defender here going to have to combo away some cards from their board to be able to defend themselves. And then we swing out with the Majin Vegeta 25k that'll be able to KO a rested battle card and then restand to attack once more. Being at 4 is definitely in range for that 5-cost secret rare that's in Blue Goku's hand. But here taking it going down to 3, which yeah, I mean there's not a ton of combo power here in our Goku player's hand, and having it means to be able to get rid of that Videl pretty huge here, and I do like this play quite a bit. Drawing into Sorbet, which means that we can swing combo the Sorbet, and that'll be a 30k swing, forcing at least a super combo or 2 cards out of the opponent's hand here. And they are struggling for combo power a little bit. They do have the means to be able to get a lot of that back, but it is a bit of a tough position here, and Frieza just taking full advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Frieza does, you know, get that hand advantage and put you in a lot of different positions that you do not like, especially things that are stuck or frozen, that kind of thing. But it just looks like we're just going to go pure aggro, and now going to 30, asking for 2 cards in hand or super combo, and that super combo is coming down. I think it's our only one in our hand, so it's a little bit of a difficult decision to make, but hopefully this next turn as Goku, we're going to be able to put our own aggression down.
And it's such a throwback. You see so few Frieza in the meta these days, but I love the ability to be able to restand 2 cards. I think that's an ability that will have longevity long into the game as we get even more and more powerful cards that we want to protect, because now, you know, if you don't have hard removal, you can't get rid of these battle cards. Which is so good for a strategy that wants to be able to attack multiple times, especially being able to do something like protect that 4-drop Vegeta that can attack 2 times. Now, of course, it can get bounced back to hand with that secret rare, or one of 3 secret rares. Take your pick, whichever one you want to play. But at the very least, it can't be removed from battle, which makes it a little bit tougher in terms of your opponent mitigating board versus giving the opponent too much advantage here. So, all right, well, there's all 4. So at some point, the late game feels pretty good here for our Goku player, especially since fun tech. A lot of Yellow's stun abilities just prevent your cards from going back to active mode at the start of your turn, but Vegeta's activate main actually allows him to be able to restand during the main phase, which does circumvent that ability, depending on what card it may be that keeps it in rest mode. So there are some timings that you can play there that allow you to restand.
Yeah, I mean, that is something, at least a little bit of counter attack, counter play, that type of thing. And it looks like what we're gonna do is probably just play out this Vegito. We're gonna bottom deck, or not bottom deck, but return the 4 cost Vegeta back to the hand. We're gonna swing 30k. Could have gone 40 here, but that's okay. We're gonna most likely restand and then use this Gatling gun to take him down to 1. Put ourselves in a position to take game next turn. Because hey, have no cards active in our energy, and we're going down to 1. Being a little greedy here, but I can understand it. We have 13 cards in hand now.
Yeah, we just need everything that we can here. If we play the 4-drop Goku, it depends how much do we want to go in with the double striker. Of course, we could just go in double with the Frieza. Those cards specifically will prevent active mode for the entirety of the turn, so you won't have to face off against Vegito, which is very nice. And then, of course, you can pressure to try to close out the game and have a lot of combo power. We do see 1, 2, 3 Jocos in hand, which means 3 super combos. We do have the means to defend. This could be a swing back on Vegeta, especially since as Goku, I mean, we've got the 20k combo on board, but then we only have 5, 10, 20, 30, 40k, 55 if we include that Gatling gun. So not a ton. And I love the swing for 30 here, saying, you know what, I am going to ask you for another card. So either Gatling gun here, which will be a pretty clean out, or using 2 combos. You're going to be able to do that with the 3-cost Ginyu Force on board, the Raccoon, and then a lot of follow-ups that we can have here. So remains to be seen how we're going to sequence our turns. We are going to combo out of this one. Now, what's the follow-up?
Yeah, I think the follow-up is just swing and swing more. You know, we're probably gonna play maybe probably the 4-cost Goku. Just keep the Vegeta down, even though it can restand. Maybe keep the Pilaf down, unless we're gonna go ahead and swing our 5k to our 5k, which would be pretty funny. But no, we're gonna go ahead and, well, I mean, we could still go for the same play, right?
Yep. The Raccoon into the Ginyu. When seeing 3 Frieza's army on board on play, we'll be able to refresh that energy, thus giving us 5 to still be able to do the double strike. And now we've got 2 more 20k swings to try to force our opponent down to 2 life to then go for a big swing. And again, we're still feeling healthy with those super combos in hand. Now, you have to be mindful, we're only at 1 health. Every single swing from our opponent will be lethal at that point. But if we can line up our attacks in the right way, could be in a comfortable position. Opponent has no more energy, won't be able to Gatling gun their way out of a 10k swing. Thus, we'll finally be demanding a bunch of cards from hand. So here we're in the tank, thinking it through. What sequencing get us there? What math gets us there? Obviously, you're facing against blue. You suspect a lot of 10k combos, but with the way that the opponent's been defending, you can kind of interpret that they might be having a tough time comboing here. So 40. Oh my god. Okay. Whoa. All right. 40k combo here for a 60k swing, saying, you know what? I don't think you got it. Big Hail Mary here.
Yeah, we're really positioning ourselves to play the last 5 of our energy for the Frieza. You know, we're really saying like, hey, this is a 60k swing. You really don't want to combo out of this, even if you can. Let's just go into our double striker next. And that's a dead card right there.
Oh my god. So we sat back, we went in the tank, we did the math. We're saying, what's the best way for me to be able to get there? We got the opponent down to 2. Golden Frieza here, 40k, 50k, 60k. What is this? This is looking to be 70k here.
And is that enough? No, it is not for our Goku player. Our Frieza does take the double, and our Frieza player does take the match. Wow, that was a crazy ending.